Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Crown and today we are going to have some more stories that I hope that you will enjoy. But before we start, it will be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now, without further ado, let's go! First story. My stepmom invites herself over to see my 2-week-old daughter. So some backstory. I only had one parent in my life, as my father was an abusive father within the 6 weeks of my life. My mother gained full custody and my father had extremely supervised visits, like a social worker had to watch me with him. So like a daycare lady. He never made an appointment to see me. My mother told me what happened when she deemed ready. So about 15-16. When I turned 20, a lady who wasn't more than 3 years older than me contacted me. I mistaken her as a person not seen in school. I couldn't be more wrong. Shortly after, I found out she was engaged with my father, and she had a son with him. Big age difference. She was 23, my father was 57. I got in contact with my father. I never met him, as he lived in New Hampshire while I lived in Iowa. We never got close. A month later, my father passed. I don't know how. Shortly, his fiancée, I will call her stepmom, even though she isn't really. I just don't wanna waste a bunch of words. She lost custody of my half-brother and put him up for adoption due to drug overdose. I was asked if I would adopt him as he was my half-brother. I declined, because I didn't have the space or money at the time. Around this time, I met my now husband. I'm now 25, my husband 26. I had just given birth to our daughter 3 weeks ago now. So right now there is 4 people at the house. My mother, 56 years old, husband, our new baby, and I. My mother is with us due to COVID. She's high risk, plus she wants to be around to help with my daughter. When my daughter was 2 weeks old, I posted some photos of me, my husband, my mother, and our daughter together. It took us some time with the photos, but we figured it out. I posted them on Facebook. About an hour later, I got a comment from stepmom to check my messages. I checked and heard what they basically said.
Hey OB, I'm gonna be coming over tomorrow to see my granddaughter. I'm so excited to meet her. I'll stay in the guest room.
I should note she still lives in New Hampshire and I still live in Iowa. I text back, I'm sorry that can't happen. My baby and my mother are at high risk, and I'm still learning a routine with my daughter. My mother is also using the guest bedroom right now. I didn't get a response after this. Next morning, there is a knock at the door. I thought it could be a package I ordered, so I went to answer it. When I opened, I was pissed.
Hey OB, I'm here to see my granddaughter.
My stepmom tries to open the door, but I push back. I told you, you couldn't come. There isn't room for you and there are high-risk people here. Please leave.
But I have a right to see my grandbaby. Your father would want me to meet her. I'm her family.
She tries to give me puppy eyes. Listen, I'm not really wanting to deal with this right now. Please leave. Then I shut the door. All seems well until yesterday. She came over again, and this time, since I was busy with the baby, my husband handled her and threatened her with calling the police. She leaves after throwing a fit. Last night, when my baby was asleep, I got a text from her.
Why didn't you let me see my granddaughter? I'm her grandma. I came all this way to see her and you deny me seeing her? I just wanted to hold her. Your father would have wanted me to see her.
I responded, Stepmom, you're not my child's grandma. Only my mother and my husband's mother are grandmas. You aren't married to my father, only engaged. I don't trust you with her either, as I have no clue if you're still doing drugs or recovering. I don't trust you either as you lost custody of my half-brother. I don't care what my father would want, as he was barely in my life. 3 months max in my life if you include when I was born. COVID is a thing right now, and I have multiple people who are high risk. I told you you couldn't come over, but you did anyway. I shut off my phone after this to get the little sleep I can get. Sometime this morning after I rocked and fed my daughter, I got a text from the stepmom asking for money at the hotel she stayed at. I hit decline and she sent it again, saying I owe her since she couldn't go to my place. I declined again and blocked her this time. I don't know if she's gonna show up again, but if she does, my husband will call the police. An update to the story. Stepmom gets arrested. A month after my post, she tried to come over to come see my now 2-month-old baby. At the time, 2 to 3 weeks old. About 2 weeks ago, one of our neighbors was telling us some lady kept knocking on our front door when we were gone. I wasn't sure who at the time. I let it brush my shoulder and told the neighbor to let me know if anything serious happens with the lady or call the police if it's bad enough. A couple of hours ago, after bringing my daughter home from baby shopping, I saw cops at my neighbors in my house. I park in a driveway and take my daughter out. My husband isn't home as he was working late. My mom is out at a doctor's appointment. I'm completely confused at this point and get told to wait momentarily. Police is talking to my neighbor, but I cannot make out what they are saying. At this point, my daughter is crying and I'm trying to calm her by bouncing her slightly. After a few minutes, the police asked me if I knew what was going on. I shake my head. I got told the lady my neighbor told me about had somehow gotten into the house. There was a sign of broken entry. The back door kicked and locked broken due to force. My neighbor heard the ruckus but thought it was my husband working on stuff in the shed in the back. He does woodworking stuff. About an hour later, my neighbor realized it wasn't my husband as she had seen lights weren't on and saw that neither my husband or I's cars weren't in the driveway. She also had seen movement in the house. My neighbor went to check the house and saw the back door broken into and called the police. At this moment, the lady is dragged out from the house. And can you guess who it is? My stepmom. I was actually surprised. My stepmom is sobbing and crying as she had permission and couldn't get the door unlocked, so she had to kick it in. Police asked if they could go in with me to see if there was any damage done to my house, as it's now a crime scene. I agree and look around. She broke photos, dishes, my daughter's crib. How? I don't even know. It was really sturdy and strong. She broke shelves, all my mom's stuff, our flat screen TV, etc. I tell them that she never had permission, nor was she ever welcomed at our place. They asked if we would like to press charges on her and I state yes. She gets taken away and I wait for my husband to come home to see what we will do. So we have accessed all the damage and found out more things were broken. Like my husband's computer, some of my jewelry, our Switch, Xbox, etc. My husband and I just filled out some papers on getting a restraining order, and we know a few other charges that she's having. So the ones listed above, the imposition of drugs, being on drugs, destruction of property over $5,000, after we told him how much was damaged with receipt, they aren't sure of a motive yet. They still haven't sat down with her. When she was allowed a call last night, she did try to call our home phone to ask if we'd let the charges go and bail her out. But my husband just hung up on her. What a crazy woman. Next story. Donation solicitor wants to defraud my elderly best friend in the world. Revenge. I really hate phone scammers, lying car machines, and that ilk, And for several years, Bess, now deceased, and I, now preparing myself for the inevitable, received yearly calls from Trevor something Ivy League, who was asking for donations for some political party. About the third time when we got a man to answer the phone, they would hang up. I knew it was them because a spiel, pitch, fraud would begin, and then when they read enough of the notes on previous calls, they would hang up. Okay, so now we get to about the fifth or the sixth time, and I recognize the voice. It was quite familiar by this time. So feeling both irritated and malicious, I raised my voice a few octaves, and I began my little old lady with dementia routine. While recording, of course. Yes, this is Bess R. Who is this, please?
My name is Trevor III, and I'm asking for political donations to support the ex-political party and its candidates. It's for a good cause. Would you care to make a donation?
Little old lady with dementia, aka me?
Well, yes. My dead husband always voted for them, and he really liked them. How do I donate? Do you have a credit card?
Yes, but how can I use that over a telephone?
I'm an old lady and I barely know how to use a credit card. The store people help me sometimes.
What follows is the entire process for reading the card information over the phone. Trevor is falling all over himself with this call. And then,
who is calling me? Do I know you? Are you a friend of my recently deceased husband?
I believe Trevor was sipping coffee at this moment, because it was a very distinctive sound of a room-wide spit take. Give the boy credit. He was going to land this fish.
Ma'am, I'm calling on behalf of ex-political party and canvassing for donations to support our political programs.
All through the entire routine again, card number, etc, etc, etc. And several times I interrupted by,
who are you? What is this for? How much should I donate? What kind of charity are you?
You're one of my favorites.
Wait, that is not the right card number. That's my old card number which my caregiver had cancelled because someone was trying to use it for fraud. Can you guys get rid of them?
A pause and then,
who is this? Were you at my husband's memorial service? He was a veteran, you know?
Naturally, I was having a ball with this, and really feeling the part, and inspired because the little old lady who was pocket picking was my best friend in the world, so that really sharpened my sword, so to speak. Finally, after a full half hour or close to it, I was running out of tape. I had enough, and so in my own voice, pardon me for a moment, but I have used up the side of this recording cassette, so I have to turn it over. Click. Dead silence. I copied the tape and sent it to the national headquarters of that political party, and I received an email stating that Trevor was stone cold fired, and we would never be contacted by phone ever again. It seems that in California, two-party recording requirements of notification does not apply to those recording what they believe to be a criminal use of telephony, i.e., wire fraud. Defrauding the mentally impaired or confused is also criminal. Obtaining monetary or other valuables through deceits over computer or telephony communications. Well, that's the part of the iceberg that is obvious. Never heard from Trevor or any of his frat brothers ever again. Damn, that felt good. Also, I'm advised by my attorney that California has a clerk's receipt law that entitles any citizen to record. Under the law, any recording of information is a writing. A written receipt for any business conducted with any commercial entity regarding a commercial contract, payments or alterations of contract, as well as any hard copy of changes, etc., and especially including any public employee. I know because I have already been arrested and my voice recorder seized as evidence for 4 months. Waiting for the batteries to die, deleting the recording, good luck. I make sure to use bubble memory that will hold data for at least 18 months with dead batteries. Next story. Babysitting means paying the kids' dental bills. Here is a fun one. Years ago, I would often babysit my neighbor's 9 to 10-year-old daughter. He was a divorced father and was the kind of ex that would send spreadsheets of child-rearing expenses calculated to the penny and weekly invoices, complete with terms and penalties of her own choosing for late payments. He paid big child support and generally paid her invoices on time because she would cut off access to the kiddo if he didn't. His ex, the snake, and I had basic text messaging contact. She and I had a previous dust up because a sudden weather change necessitated the jacket for the kiddo. We popped into the nearest discount store and I let her pick a jacket. The kiddo loved it, but her mother threw a giant fit at me because it wasn't brand name. I blew it off at the neighbor and I laughed about it when he reimbursed me. She gave me the silent treatment. Darn. Time moved forward and father always reimbursed kiddos' expenses and encouraged fun and healthy activities. One day he called me and apologized that he was getting held up at work and the kiddo had an orthodontist appointment. He asked me to take her, and I agreed. And he called the dentist to authorize. We got there and they wouldn't see her without a payment. $225. It was necessary. Kiddo's braces were hurting her and dad wasn't available. But I knew he would reimburse me. So I put it on my credit card rather than call her snake of a mother. Kiddo got patched up and dad reimbursed me. I paid the card and didn't use it. A few months later I got a past due call from my card company. Repeat charges from the orthodontist. I let the dad know and called the orthodontist who told me I signed an automatic payment agreement. I gave my heck no, I'm just a babysitter speech and didn't get far with them. So I cancelled the card and the dad apologized profusely and reimbursed me. A month later I got a nasty call from the orthodontist about my card declining. I kindly informed them that I'm not the parent and provided the snake's phone number. About an hour later, the snake is furiously calling and texting me. I silenced my phone and looked later. She maxed out my voicemail and all of her text messages were about how I was abusing her child by denying the kid medical care. One voicemail was from the police letting me know that she filed a complaint, how I would get a copy for my attorney, and inquiring about whether I wanted to file a counter-complaint. I sure did. I moved out of state and the prosecutor called me once just to ask questions. Then I never heard back from the prosecutor. Last I heard from the kiddo's grandmother, the snake took a plea bargain, the dad got custody, and grandma was enjoying a lot more time with the kiddo. Serves her right. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.